Hello and welcome to October 13th, the day for the reveal of the Media Tour information. The embargo has been lifted from Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker Media Tour. Worldwide coverage, they said there would be 100 and some dozens. I know a fair number of the people that went. I've been keeping track of kind of public statements, and then of course the people who went last time that I'll just go check and see if they end up posting anything. So I will be live over on Twitch going over all of this. Everything from my coverage, everything from other people's coverage. There were interviews given out to a portion of the attendees. I was not in that portion, but even if I was, I would want to know what the other interviews had. So we will be going through other interviews. We will be going through all of this, trying to get a general picture that is bigger than any one of us could have gotten. Brian and I have poured a ton of hours and effort into publishing the total amount of coverage. At the time of filming this, it is not October 13th, so I don't know what the final count is, but I know that we wanted to do more. That coverage will be spread across Gaming Kinda and Ginger Prime for individual job coverage, individual thoughts, anything that we both want to cover and maybe cover differently. We will come together and we will post big ultimate videos, like everything you need to know that changed about tanks or about physical ranged or about casters or about healers will be pushed over to Work to Game as one-stop shops. Every video will be chaptered, is ideally, that's our plan, so that if you come across a chapter that has been put in another video, because we don't know if you're only going to watch that video, if you're going to watch more than one. Role actions, for example, I'm going to have the role action changes to tanks. That exact same section is filmed once and it's copied and pasted into each of the 4 tank videos, because what if somebody only tries one of the tanks? I want them to have that info, but just skip over those chapters if it's something you've already seen before. And it'll be basically structured as my disclaimer, general information, the information that is specific to that video, and then my thoughts at the end. And then Work to Game will have a ton of it. We'll be streaming a ton of it. There's going to be a crazy amount of information coming out. And so I do want to note that we have a lot to share. The biggest overall changes, in my opinion, the TLDR, is that this is Trait Walker. To anybody that has seen a leaked version of some tooltips, whether or not those leaks turned out to be accurate, it wasn't really my business. I didn't have anything to do with it, in that I didn't really care, because I had no reason to go pursue the leaks, because to be honest, I had too much tasks on my plate as is, and I had the real information, so I don't need to go verify theirs if I have the real information. So I was focused on trying to get out as many videos as I could, and so I really don't have an opinion on that whole mess other than it's disappointing. But I will say that what people lack is traits and hands-on experience. There is a very diverse number of people that got to go. Of course, more is better. This media tour was way larger than last time. But there are a lot of different viewpoints that got to go, and I think that overall, the TLDR on the changes is that there are a lot of jobs that are going to change trait-wise. There's a lot of things okay, healers are going to be putting out more DPS because they've got these 1.5 second cast spells, and then tanks have more self-heal, and so a lot of these things I would encourage you to go take in what changed beyond just your role, because a lot of these changes might give you some general insight into what the content might look like when we get into Pandemonium, Mists of the Realm, things like that, because the battle system as a whole has undergone a slight paradigm shift, just an ever so slight adjacent step to the right. And I think it's a big deal. I think there's a lot changing here. There's a lot about bigger combos that are going to be more rewarding, giving you cooler stuff for doing them right, being harder for you to say, well, the content made me break my combo. No, it didn't. You broke your combo, which means that you have room to know when you can improve and when before it was hey, there was a mistake. Well, is that something I need to get better at? Or is that something that the content made me make a mistake? And now it's no, I know it's something I can get better at. So it's a lot easier to have it as a feedback loop and kind of pursue that as something you want to get better at doing. I think that's better across the board. I think, tanks became more in line with each other, which will allow the content to be more respectful of what the tanks are. I'm a little concerned about what that means as far as homogenization, but they also got a fair bit of personality added in their rotations, especially Warrior and Gunbreaker. Melee looks incredibly busy. I got to touch every single job at the tour, but I did not get to make guides for every single job. Healers are something that it's going to be hard to gauge without access to more content, because it is an inherently reactive job. I can say Sage is very complex, so day one, just be aware that as soon as you start seeing Sages in dungeons with you, just be aware that it is very likely that they don't know what's going on. Because it's a lot, and so it's going to take a while for people to learn. They're all going to start with no knowledge, and they're going to build up from there. So at the beginning, all sages are probably not going to be very good healers, and then some will rise up, and some may stay that way. It's a lot to take in. Reaper's the exact same, but the difference is you're not expecting a Reaper to keep you alive. So Sage is a lot. It looks really cool. It looks really fun, but just be aware it's going to be a lot to take in. I think that the Fizz range feels like an orthodox set of changes. The casters all feel absolutely incredible. They did not show us anything with lore. They never do. It's not about spoilers. If anything you think is spoilery based on Media Tour coverage, just know that relative to what they could have shown us, they thought of those things as non-spoilery. So if you think that's big news in the Shadowbringers tour, Yoshi said, if you think that's big, you should see what we didn't show. Like, that was effectively what he said. So anything you see, such as the dungeon, I think is the most spoilery. Anything you saw, it's going to be even crazier. There was a lot of low quality of life changes. The way the interface feels, the way the achievement pane looks more like Notepad-y, all this stuff. There's a lot that just is going to just feel better. And it's impressive to see the amount of things that happened, since I know they were really just trying to keep the expansion on time. It's impressive to see the amount of things they got to already in a Media Tour build. Potencies will still adjust, any like minor bugs and anything like that. They build this build specifically for this one event. So like in my hunt footage, I think there was like an ability that the monster cast that was in Japanese. Not a big deal. It's just not that big of a deal. So it wasn't flawless. It was done virtually. We are recording through a virtual client. So if you see any frame drops or lag, that's just the nature of kind of playing through a cloud-based service. But that did give them the ability to distribute to a huge number of people with really clean oversight and no need to install or worry about anything but an internet connection. So I think that was really clean. We did it in groups of 4, just like last time. I did it with Curious Joy, Zumi, and Brian, so you'll hear me reference them a couple times across my guides. But I've also spent a fair bit of time with Ren. We collabed together and on some videos that are going to go live on the 14th. And so we've got, it's just been an absolutely incredible opportunity, and I have done everything in my power to work in as many hours as I humanly can to put out the best coverage I'm capable of, to say thank you for an opportunity to this event. I look forward to going hands-on with the full game, because I think right now it's hard to be too overly sure that everything will be flawless on launch, but it's also hard to see anything that was lacking and say like, oh, well, that's something that I'm not going to like. It's like, well, you don't really know. It's early access. So I think all in all, I'm incredibly happy with where Endwalker is going. I have a lot of videos rolling out across the day. And to anybody that stayed this long, I will note, YouTube is not going to notify you. If you stayed this long, you're somebody that does stay to the end of videos. YouTube is not going to notify you. Content creators are putting out too much content, and the YouTube algorithm assumes that they're bombarding the algorithm and that you don't want everything they publish, because typically that would be true. If I accidentally or intentionally pushed out 20 videos in one day, in most cases you would not want your entire feed to read just my videos. But on the day of Media Tour with an embargo lifting, it is absolutely possible that however many creators you watch on a platform, you do want everything that they did. So I encourage you to go out to their channels. I have a video that went over all the people that I knew were going before the tour. We'll be going over a lot of this as well in the days and weeks to come. And I am looking forward to covering a lot about Endwalker. I think we have enough coverage to get us all the way to the November 5th live letter, and then that, of course, will get us all the way to the 19th, and then that, of course, will likely carry us all the way to the end of 2021. Looking forward to it.